And hello, Titans of Today viewers. We have a very special episode today. I'm actually here in my new business partner's abode in Colorado, so different scenery. And on top of that, we have a tremendous individual here. Our standard introduction goes founder, CEO, things of that nature, but I think Brian qualifies more for the titles of baller or legend or things of that nature. So, Brian, welcome to the show. I'll let you take the introduction from here. Give us some foundation of who you are and what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you, Jacob. I love the new setup, so it's working. It's very El Natural. Brian J. Esposito, as you introduced me, I'm the CEO and founder of Esposito Intellectual Enterprises. It is a holding company that I founded and created over the last 20 years of my work. It now consists of well over 90 different entities. That continues to grow as I acquire, start, merge, or start new projects or companies. There's also well over 150 joint ventures from around the world and proudly operating in north of 25 plus different industries. So I built a really amazing ecosystem and model and a complete arsenal of resources, talent, IP, products, solutions, and technologies, as well as that protected by great legal, great accounting, great compliance, amazing set of professionals from around the world. And I built that for my own need and protection on how to keep growing, protect what I've built, share resources, boost balance sheets, everything that I set out to do as a professional business person. But over the last 5 years, what I really love to do is this new model that I've created where I take everything that I've built, and it's everything I just walked you through, and I get to work with startups and up to Fortune 500 companies and help them create value, create products, technologies, IP, get them properly placed and distributed into the market, and create real sustainable businesses. If it's a startup, help protect those founders. I'm a founder at heart with all the companies that I started, so I know exactly what they need. I'm there to support them and their current stakeholders, protect their equity, and I'm a big believer of if you're going to go into business, you got to learn how to make money, and you got to be profitable and grow from your earnings, and not this whole unicorn model that people chase. It can be very debilitating. It can be exhausting, trying to raise money, run out of money, raise money, run out of money. So I'm there with companies that bring me on to help support them, support their vision, and get them in business and make sure they love what they do, they're happy what they do, and that they can always control and stay in control of what they set out to embark on.
Outstanding. Now we're going to go back.
Way back.
Yeah, way back because you began your first listed experience on your LinkedIn profile. This is, you could of course tell me there's more, but was a coffee shop. Was it? That's correct. It was a coffee shop slash.
Yeah, a legendary coffee shop known as the Inkwell Coffee House in West End, New Jersey. People know the area. It's right outside of Long Branch and just east of Monmouth University. So that place has been there since the 60s. Phenomenal entertainers, celebrities, musicians like Bob Dylan, Bruce Springsteen talks about all the time. Kevin Smith, big believer and supporter. I'm actually in one of his great locations with the Share Universe. Their CEO Ming is over here helping me with this interview. So amazing talent. Bon Jovi, Danny DeVito had his high school reunion there. Long story very long is my father owned the property from the 80s on, and the previous owners just one day just disappeared. They didn't open the doors. I was just graduated high school in 99. I was going to Monmouth University, and I said to myself, this place can't close. It's an institution for the town and all the history there. I reopened it, took over control of it, cleaned it up a little bit, and we rocked. It was amazing. And then I brought my brother in to help co-own and work with me. And because I was going to school, the place is open from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. So between that and taking full course of credits 6 days a week, I was going to school. So I needed help. And one of my favorite experiences, it really got me fully excited about what the music industry is, and I'm highly involved in that because of all the talent that would come in there. People would just get up and play a guitar and start singing an amazing song that they wrote that morning. Or someone would stand up and read poetry. And so I really enjoyed the creative process of watching these talented people and having no fear standing up in front of a restaurant full of 500 people between inside and outside. And it was amazing. Then I decided to continue to grow my professional career. My brother took it over and ran it for the last 20 plus years. I continued to go on my journey in building, creating, and starting companies.
And so let's talk more about that journey from there to the next step. What was the immediate next step when your expansion point of your career, and how did that really lead to all the things? Where did this model, this philosophy, this mindset come from?
This mess, yeah, I'll
This
tell you where this mess came from.
remarkable.
Controlled chaos, I call it. I next went into the beauty industry, and I love to code. I love technologies. I taught myself how to code. And I started the first B2B, B2C e-commerce platform for the beauty industry. I built a site known as Aveyou, Aveyyou. We had stores, full beauty distribution. I launched over 1,200 brands. I got to work with some phenomenal celebrities starting their brands. I helped Jessica Simpson create her hairdo line. Got to work with Paris Hilton and her extension line. I was first to launch Kim Kardashian's perfume through our retail outlets in our store. And because of our reach and our distribution and the great branding, I was a go-to for so many brands and distributors to use me for my access and help their brands grow. And my model was completely wrong. Again, I mentioned I launched 1,200 brands, and I was happy just getting the brand, working with the brand, and reselling the brand through the distribution channels that I created. Ridiculously stupid model, Monday morning quarterbacking it, because I should have owned equity in those brands. I should have participated in the upside of those brands. I was foolish in not creating this model. Now 20 years ago, I should have created the model I'm doing now. And when these brands that I help grow from being made in their kitchen to then having shelf space on Sephora or CVS or Target, those brands would be acquired by the big boys like L'Oreal, Revlon, LVMH, Estee Lauder. And when the brand got acquired, I had no equity ownership in that brand, even though I was instrumental in helping them grow. And more importantly, I lost the distribution of the brand because those other companies have their own direct-to-consumer or direct-to-business distribution channels. So my mindset was there's always a new beauty product. I would just keep having a pipeline of new brands I would launch. So that led me to learn that I need to, if people are going to use me in the way that I work or my relationships or my access, I need to start owning things besides just the retail outlet that I created. So that's when I started my journey in building technologies and owning IP. We spent a fortune with the beauty site on other people's technologies that I could have built and I could have owned. So then I started building companies like Payback, and that was the first peer-to-peer micro-lending company way before Venmo, because I saw people all over the world just lending money back and forth, buying people drinks, picking up somebody's dinner tab. So I created this great platform. I still think it's better than Venmo's engagement, but I was way too soon. Part of my biggest issue with what I create and what I build is I know where the market's going, and I get there way before the world is ready for it. So it's keeping those things alive and nurturing them and waiting for the market or technologies to catch up. Then I built a company known as Activity, which was what we know as influencers. I did this in 2010, where why are we paying, make up a name, the Justin Bieber's of the world, billions and billions of dollars for marketing and advertising when you start to see that their social media engagement was not what it used to be. If they had 10 million followers, but they had 100,000 likes, there's something wrong with that model. I saw this early on, and I said we should be paying this guy in Boise, Idaho that's got 3,000 followers, but 2,800 people like his post, 2,000 people comment on his post. You want to support, that's the micro-influencer that we would call today, that would help a brand get exposure and help create this momentum. That's what I kept doing. I just kept building companies. I launched a band because I launched a lot of beauty products for the entertainment industry. I said, I'm going to own the band because I can build the product and distribute the product. Now I'll own the band. And we went out and launched an incredible band known as Khan. They became a Macy's iHeart Top 25 Rising Artist. And I just started building my own arsenal of companies and resources and IP. It was to protect the whole. Initially, it was if one company's down, hopefully one company's up, and everybody's protected, the employees are protected, and I created this diversified little ecosystem. But that just continued to grow as I was wanting to, start new ideas or create new projects. And now, like I said, it's up to over 90 entities. And because of a little bit of my track record and success, companies reach out to me all the time to tap into what I built. And I love creating win situations for people. I love creating opportunities. But more importantly, I learned how to properly value myself, which I did incorrectly for way, way too long. I am first to eat now. A lot of founders and entrepreneurs think it's smart to be last to eat, and I did that for 15 years. Not a good move. You want to psychologically properly compensate and reward yourself for your work and your efforts. And if you're properly taking care of yourself and you're not foolish with your earnings and your money, you can properly take care of everybody else. It's a lot of things that I do are, again, from making as many mistakes as I possibly could to be in the mindset and the system that I have today.
And what did it feel like while you were making those mistakes? Because let's say someone who's maybe in my shoes, right? I'm 26, oftentimes making many mistakes, or anybody in business, right? Entrepreneurship is this continuous process of let's get out there, build an idea, test it, Okay, that didn't work. You need to fix it, valid, whatever. It's just a continuous process. So what's your mindset towards those sort of experiences and getting to more of an awareness or knowledge around the proper methodologies?
Yeah, it's tough when you're young. There's a lot of emotions when you're young, and thankfully, I'm at a point where I love making mistakes. I love when people hurt me or steal from me or take advantage of me because they show me a vulnerability that I still have that I need to fix. One of the most important things in evolving as a human being is to take ownership of where you are in life. You're there because of your actions, your lack of actions, or your decisions. It's not anybody else's fault. When you're sitting there blaming other people for maybe the situation that you're in, that's not necessarily the case. Yes, they were a factor, but as you get older and you meet more people and you experience the good people, you experience the bad people, your job is to minimize the problems by not inviting problems into your life. And that only comes through experiences. You got to always be very conscious of your emotions, and you need to always make a decision in a very calm environment. You cannot make decisions, either they be immediately reactionary or from a place of high emotion or anger or upsetment. You need to just separate yourself from whatever's happening to you in the moment. Do a little Wim Hof 11-minute breathing exercise, yeah, and then revisit it with a cooler head, because those reactionary decisions that come from a place of whatever the source, not usually the best outcome. And you should never let somebody or a situation get the best of you or make you look bad. You should always look in a position of calmness is strength, and be able to articulate your feelings correctly and resolve whatever's happening from a cool mindset, because there's always going to be problems. That's the best part about life, is that money does not make you immune to problems. It just means that there could be more or less of them. But if you have a good system in place and knowing that you can really overcome anything, as long as your health is okay, anything else is irrelevant. It's a blip. Some things you can't have a fix with, and we know this. If you look at when Steve Jobs passes away, like, all the money in the world couldn't keep him alive. So when you look at what can actually take you down and cripple you, that's your health and your mental health and your well-being. Everything else, there's a solution. And if money's the issue, that's the greatest thing of all, because money comes and goes. And if you're smart and you surround yourself with good people and you're consistent, you can make all the money you need. You just have to be very careful as to how you go about doing it and make sure you make the right decisions, the right ethical decisions.
Outstanding. You mentioned the Wim Hof method there. Are there any other sort of practices that you do in the moment where you do need to make a decision, or you're asked to make a decision, let's say, that you are doing that could help people maintain that calmness?
No. For my whole entire career, people tell me I should do yoga, I should do all these types of things, I should meditate. My brain doesn't stop. I can't meditate. It's not for me. But the Wim Hof works because it's 11 minutes. If I can't do 11 minutes of breathing, which we do anyway while we're alive, and it just disconnects me for a moment to reset, that works for me. Other people need to go away for a week. They need to disconnect. Some people need to go and, like I said, do yoga, go and work out, go for a run. I do like to do long walks and take my conference calls on walks. It keeps me in motion. It just keeps the blood moving. It keeps me sharp. So that I enjoy doing. But to each their own. For me, it's work and being in the moment and creating things and helping entrepreneurs. That's my therapy. That keeps me excited and engaged, and that's what inspires me daily. And I'm 41 now, so if you were to ask me this question 15 years ago, I would tell you I punch a hole in the wall because of that Italian, Sicilian temper. But I'm proud that I've been able to work on that and evolve, and again, not let people make me look bad or get the best out of me, or get the worst out of me, I should say. It's about working on yourself, being conscious. We're all flawed. There's not a single perfect person in the world, and that's what makes us cool and unique and exciting. So if you know you have some things that you need to work on, just work on it. Be conscious of it is the first important step. And if someone triggers you, what was very important for me too is I had to shut a lot of people out of my life during a certain period of my life, because I didn't know who was the good guys and who were the bad guys. So I had to shut everybody out. And then I started this filtration process of inviting people very carefully back into my inner circle. And if I saw any red flags, immediately out. As we get older, I think once you hit 30, 25 to 30, you're who you are unless you have a near-death experience. And I'm not people's priest, I'm not their parent, I'm not their guidance counselor, I'm not here to fix people, but I do love helping and working with people in their professional career. And if someone is not lining in sync with my mindset, my values, my morals, and my ethics, I will not give you my time. I won't work with you. I don't care if we can make $1 billion together. If we don't line up with core values, then you're not coming into my world. I'll pray for you, wish you the best, and that's it. So being smart about your time. And sometimes it can be cold and tough because there's family members that could disrupt your entire day. There's loved ones, there's spouses, there's near and dear friends. I had to eliminate everybody because I realized I was the most important person of my life. Not in a selfish way, but my happiness, my expectations, and where I want to spend my time, that's why I'm here. I could be gone tomorrow. So I love great experiences. I love doing wonderful things with people. But if you're here and you're toxic and you're negative, I don't care if you're Mother Teresa, you got to get out of my life because I want to be happy. And that's the mindset I finally came to accomplish. And I think that'll just keep evolving into more and more filters and strategies that help keep me sane and happy and make sure I'm not wasting my time.
And you mentioned accurately valuing yourself. And earlier you were speaking on that, but then also you just mentioned it as well, accurately valuing yourself, your time, your efforts, and those things. How did you become to, or what is that core foundation of how you accurately value yourself? Some of those barriers or boundaries that you set to maintain your level of happiness in your life.
Are you basing on financially valuing yourself, or?
Let's start there. Let's
Okay.
say in the context of entrepreneurship, of building a business,
Yeah.
and in that realm.
Yeah, everybody's needs are different. I don't need or really want for anything, so I'm very minimalistic in that mindset. I don't need to have a giant, massive house, Ferraris in the garage, or $1 million vacations. Valuing myself because of my needs, I'm the oddball as far as an entrepreneur. And I think everybody should strive to have the best in life, but not to be braggadocious or show off or be obnoxious, but because you reward yourself for your hard work, your talent, your skills. And I think it's nice to reward yourself and make yourself happy. But there's a lot of entrepreneurs that I've worked with and experienced. They have families, they have wives or husbands. They left their safe corporate job to go after their dreams. They're no longer a teacher. And they go into this amazing world of entrepreneurship because their heart and their soul is pushing them to do that. And entrepreneurs and startup founders, and these are very driven people. They have dreams and goals and aspirations that most people in the world don't have. So you all of a sudden have potentially a disruption in the household where the husband doesn't understand what the wife's doing, the wife doesn't understand what the husband's doing. They're depleting their bank account, they're fighting at home. You cannot possibly be successful as an entrepreneur if you don't have a safe environment or a safe home to go to or a support system at home. And unfortunately, if money's constantly going out of the bank account to support somebody's dreams and they don't have a good strategy or support system or advisors or anybody to help them show them that you have something great, but you need to monetize it, you need to make money from it, and you need to pay yourself for a lot of reasons. A, this is your idea in your brain. B, keep your family finances safe and protect the household, protect your marriage, protect your kids. And if you're not paying yourself and there's friction at home, there's going to be friction at work. And then you go back to that emotional piece I was telling you earlier, that there's no way you can make the right decisions. You're no longer on this utopia high of going after your dreams. You go into this survival mode, and now you don't have the right confidence to really do what you're trying to do. You're trying to pitch it now, and you had to fight at home an hour earlier. So you're in this tornado because you went after your dreams, and it's a terrible situation for people to be in. And I can't help or work with everybody, but I know what they're going through. I know the feelings that they're going through. I know how scared they are. That's why it's very rewarding for me to work and step in and work with these companies that bring me on, because I'm the cheerleader for them. I'm a complete resource for them because I know exactly the position that they're in. And it's also really important to let them get their ass kicked a little bit. They can't be a seasoned CEO and entrepreneur if they don't go through the battle scars and they don't learn from making bad decisions. But it's always nice to know that you have somebody there that doesn't have ulterior motives, has your best interest at heart, and is there to help make sure that you don't go too far and we just continue moving and building and growing your company. You have to value yourself because you just become this ant farm situation where nothing really grows, nothing evolves, and there's no accumulation of what you're trying to do. You're just moving things around, and your soul gets very diminished. And I've been there. So that's why, again, I know how to talk to these startup founders and these entrepreneurs And it's refreshing. I do a lot of these webinars for startups. I'm part of the Hype Sports Innovation Accelerator. It's one of the biggest ones in the world. I do these great webinars. I'm humbled every time when there's hundreds of people in the room, and every one of them will message me and email me and say, that was the most refreshing, realist conversation, because I'm not there to show off my accomplishments. Anybody can throw a post up and brag. I'm there to help people be a genuine resource and knowledge. I know what they're going through, and they don't hear this when they're going to pitch to VCs. They don't hear this when they're trying to raise money. Everybody says, oh, come back to me when you have revenue. You don't need them when they have revenue. Why would you go back to a VC when you have revenue? When you have revenue, you should be able to self-sustain your own existence and grow from your revenue. That's why it's important to value yourself, and I've learned that the hard way, and I wasted way too many years and life that I can't get back on not doing it. But I'm glad that I'm still somewhat young and able to understand how important that is.
Definitely. And you talked a little bit about core values, but what about the core principles or universal principles that you're bringing into these businesses that you're looking at the market through, that you can apply obviously to 25 plus different industries?
Yeah, there's some business principles and philosophies that are timeless, and they're relative in any industry you can think of. First of all, is if you have a product, if you're going and you're developing or you're manufacturing something, are you properly sourcing all the components? You have the right price points, you have the right margins. And first and foremost, if you're going to be in business, like I said before, you need to be generating profitable earnings. Looking through all of the pieces that product or that piece of technology has involved with it, are they sourced correctly? Once you understand that they're buying it at the best rate, and I can help with that because I've had companies take full advantage of me, and now I know how to communicate with people to get the right supplies at the right price. Secondly, these companies have to give you terms. So now you're not putting money out without putting money in. You're working with suppliers and vendors with net 30, net 60, net 90 days billing to help you move your inventory, move your product, or sell your product. So those are the first two key important pieces: is the control of the outbound finances, and then to ensure you have the best buying power and best pricing and margins on your product. Then we go into distribution channels as far as who wants this product. What's great about what I've built is we can immediately create value. Usually with over 90 holdings and a bunch of joint ventures, you can find an outlet or a customer or a client with a company that brings me on. So we can immediately build a new revenue source with just my own holdings. Outside of that, we start to look at markets or ideas or alternative uses of the product that maybe the founder didn't think of. I love looking at different angles of how to hijack a market or go after a market that may need this product that they didn't even know existed. Again, that's my strength in being out in the world, meeting a lot of people, having conversations. I know where the market is. I know where the market's going. Have a great idea of what the needs are from the consumer all the way up to the enterprise. And when I see a product, I'm like, oh, this company needs that product. I can make that call today and get it into motion. It is who you know. I hate that about life. It totally is who you know. But once you start to build those relationships and you nurture those relationships, and you don't always just ask people for favors, but you also wish them a happy birthday. You also say Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. You got to make sure your circle or your network is cherished, it's respected, and you're not just using it, because people don't like that. People are smart. They want to, if you're going to have a partnership or a working relationship or just a relationship in general with people, you have to check in. You have to be conscious of them, and I'm good at that. I've always been good at that, and that's one of the main reasons why I get invited into certain rooms that I get invited into, and one of the main reasons why people trust and respect me when I speak and want to work with me.
And what about when you're engaging in something new, perhaps outside of your realm of expertise and knowledge? What is your process for going about and learning about a new industry?
Sit and listen. Best thing in the world. A lot of people love the sound of their voice. They love to say things. Sit and listen, learn, listen to the founders, listen to their network or their advisors, understand where the company is, understand the market and the industry. Again, there's some timeless principles that will apply regardless, but more importantly, you got to listen and learn, and then start to plug in very strategically where there could be a play. If it's a market you have no experience in, don't go in there like you know everything. It's foolish to say that. Just because you were successful in one industry does not mean you'll be successful in another. Just because you have $1 billion does not mean you put money into a business and it's going to be successful. You have to have a great strategy, and the team has to feel valued, and everybody has to understand their place and make sure that they're strengths are being utilized in the right position. I often compare a company to a baseball team, or really any sports team. Got to have the right people in the right position. They got to have the right resources and tools to be able to succeed. They have to practice their asses off, and they have to enjoy the losses and get beat up, so the wins are really appreciated and those accomplishments are acknowledged, and everybody's bonding and feeling great about each other.
And do you think you've learned more from failure or these successes in your life? Or have they complemented almost what you just mentioned there, where, hey, you do get to experience those things, and maybe that those mental models form a little stronger when you do have those big successes?
I'm numb to the successes because I'm not money oriented, so that to me they're just cool, and I'm happy for everybody that's involved. It was the failures that brought out strengths I didn't know I had or needed, and basically survival mode. I've been in positions where I had to survive, so there's no other option. You can't sit in the corner and cry about it. That's another problem you have to resolve. You need to be out there and figuring it out and working and believing that there is some truth that everything happens for a reason, and believing that there is a destiny for everybody, and whatever you went through, and as long as you're still breathing and healthy, you will overcome it. So for me, it was the failures, the missteps. You have to be cognizant of them, because if you're making the same mistakes over and over again, you're not learning, you're not evolving. And I guarantee you, anybody that's listening to this, if you start to eliminate toxic people from your life, those mistakes, those missteps, those problems will start to really become much more smaller, because unless you love creating problems, and you might just not be the best person for society. Who wants to go through a day in life and create problems? Unless you're not that person, it's other people causing you pain, suffering, torture, and issues. And you just have to come to a point. For me, it took a car accident for me in 2016 when a drunk driver hit me. That's what I needed to jolt my life and change everything, change my model, change who I allowed in my life, change who I give my phone number out to. I was like, that is it. I could be gone tomorrow. I'm not dealing with anybody's nonsense. If it's real problems with real issues, I'm there. I'll be on a plane or in a car to help anybody in a minute. But if it is noise and nonsense and toxic negativity, go to church, go somewhere else. Do not bother me with that. I can't have you in my life. And then I started to realize, wow, it really is my decisions on where life takes me. I really have control over my life. And by understanding that, just by inviting people in and out of your inner circle can change your life. I use the expression, I fire people from my life all the time, because I don't know when the last minute is. And I'm not going to waste my time with somebody that is of no value and depleting my 24-hour gas tank in the day. I only have so much gas in that tank. I cannot waste it on people that have no purpose besides trying to negatively affect my life or alter my journey in a bad way.
You mentioned that earlier about if you potentially have a near-death experience. My new business partner and I yesterday were just talking about John D. Rockefeller, about how when he was, let's say, I think 30 or so, he was planning to go on a trip, and he just missed the train. He was late, and he didn't end up getting on the train, and that train actually ended up going off a bridge. And that triggered another thing you mentioned, was his sense of destiny. He just believed that from that point that hey, I'm here for a reason. Was it a similar thing for you that said, man?
Oh yeah, I love being compared to John D. Rockefeller, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's a good one, right?
I resonate with those stories. Yes, there's been moments where I shouldn't still be here. So I have this feeling of a spirit protecting me. I think it's my dad's father, my grandfather. I just feel like I have this guardian around me, and I'm here for a purpose, not to be on the Forbes billionaire list, but to find outlets like this, which I'm very grateful for, to share my story, share my experiences, give people another perspective to look at life. I don't like the idea of going on Instagram and looking at people boarding private jets or sitting on the Maldives Islands and showing off, and then somebody looking at that and feeling terrible about their life. I think that's an awful moment that we've found ourselves in as far as society and comparing ourselves. It used to just be called keeping up with the Joneses, and all you would keep up with was you look over your neighbor's yard and see what they had. Now you get bombarded with a million people you got to try to keep up with. So that's exhausting and not a healthy place for people to be at all. People should be so proud of what they accomplished or what they're accomplishing. They should do something that they love at least once a day and feel good about themselves. But the minute that they go online, even startups and founders, they can go on LinkedIn or look in the Wall Street Journal and see a company that they may have better things than this company, but that company raised $10 million, $1 billion, and you name the number. And then they feel so disheartened and lost. And it's not fair. Unfortunately, that company that raised that money knew the right people, had the right strategy, and that's why they were able to unlock that opportunity. And anybody can do that, but you can't do that from a place of feeling unworthy about yourself or you're feeling low about yourself, because light does attract light. When I got into that car accident, I hated the world for a second, and I knew I could not rebuild with less than nothing, because I lost everything at that point. And that was the first domino that led to me losing everything. I just couldn't work, and I did not trust or believe in anybody around me, and everything crumbled. There was a reason why I built what I built. It was me. It was my energy. It was my light. It was my heart. If I shut that off, I'd be murmuring to myself and walking around the streets somewhere homeless. I knew I could not go dark. I had to continue to understand that I had something special that allowed me to build what I built. I was not at all ready to understand the value of what I built. I didn't have enough life lessons to understand where I could have took what I built. I needed that accident. I needed everybody to disappoint me. I needed to take ownership of where I was in life, and I'm the reason why this is happening. What did I do wrong? You look back and you start to fix and change and alter some of your mindset, some of your decision making, and you move forward, and you move forward stronger and smarter. That's the way that you become an overnight success. You just continue to evolve and be a better person the next day. And I'll make mistakes again, and I'll be disappointed in myself, but it's never going to be somebody else's fault. It's always going to be under my acknowledgement that wherever the position I'm in, it's because I allowed it to happen. And from that, I say to myself, that specific situation will never happen again. I've learned from it, and let's keep moving forward. I hope that answers your question. I think it might.
Yeah, I can feel it. It's coming from the roots, right?
It's
You
deep.
go beyond that, let's say the simple intellectual sort of engagement. I'm starting to feel it coming from that deeper level. So this is very powerful. Sure, this will help a lot of people and resonate and connect with their own light that they have. But to even recap, it's you realize at that point that it always comes back to things that you can control at the heart level. It's you can control it. It's they knew somebody. It's a strategy. It's not you're not good enough or you just X, Y, and Z. It's just something that you have the power to decide, fresh or new.
I completely agree. And don't be afraid to ask people for help. I think it's a very strong position to be in if you can put your guns on the table, not pretend like you know everything. Go on places like LinkedIn, Twitter. I don't know if Instagram is worthy of entrepreneurs, but places where you can see somebody that you admire, you respect, someone that you think could add a lot of value and help you get to where you need to be. Reach out to them, and don't send a novel. Anybody listening, I hate when I get a 400 paragraph novel. Just say, hey, Brian, how are you? Love the stuff you're doing. Build the relationship, nurture the relationship, find the right time. That was another key piece in my learning experience, is that I'm a connector. I can meet somebody tomorrow that I think of somebody that I met 15 years ago in the airport and say, I got to connect these people. Now I control the connection. I own the connection. I am part of the outcome of the connection. If these two people that I knew were going to do something great, I'm part of the upside, because that connector is the most valuable piece of a business. That person that sees the opportunity, that knows two or more people and brings them all together, that person is crucial to make sure that opportunity can evolve. Now, the connector can kill it right away because they smother and annoy everybody. That connector can also connect to people but not properly compensate themselves and value themselves and be part of the upside. Therefore, they're deflated and they're angry and they're upset that two people that they connected ran off and built the next biggest thing. Can't be mad about that. You knew the opportunity. You did the opportunity. What you did wrong was your own fault because you didn't make sure that you were part of the opportunity. And then there's what I do is connect to people, not just the right people, but it's the right people at the right time. So you have to make sure you do some work. Is this party ready for a new venture? Do they have the appetite for it? Does this other party have the funding for it? You get some insight as to, okay, the timing is not right. Let me just keep nurturing it, and you wait for that magic moment. And then when that magic moment happens, you control the connection. Your lawyers write up the agreement. Yes, the two people that you're bringing together, That's the magic. That's the formula. That's the secret recipe. So you're not going to own majority of that, but you're going to protect yourself and you're going to have a piece of whatever they create because you were the key of making it happen. And you have to stay involved. You have to send ideas. You have to be relevant because you don't want those two people to then get angry or upset that you got X amount of equity, but you're not doing anything. So you have to constantly make sure that you're providing value, you're checking in, and you're providing not only the connection, but support and resources to help that connection be able to grow and flourish.
And so is that, you mentioned equity, is it revenue share? Are there other sorts of things that people should do to make sure they're properly compensated? Maybe in your case, maybe you're bringing IP to the table too, right? And how does that valuation process go about? So you're getting the right amount.
Well, ideally, you want whatever is created to be generating revenue and earnings, and everybody can make a healthy salary. That's the position that you want to be. Hopefully, you can hire people and create a great opportunity. Yeah, it may just be an understanding of equity. Depending on the deal structure, it's case by case. You may even be getting a cash fee every month for doing what you did. So you always want to make sure that there's some sort of cash component coming somewhere. There's a lot of people, myself included, through my years, own so much equity. I could wallpaper my house with it. It doesn't mean it's worth anything. So you got to make sure that there's some financial component coming in, because you can't say, oh, I own 1,000 shares of this company. Can I go to the supermarket with it? No, you can't do anything with it. So you got to be very careful as to not just load your balance sheet with illiquid equity. It's got to have some sort of an earning component somewhere. And that's why it's important for you to help participate in. You brought two amazing people or companies together. You know it can generate revenue. You want to help it generate revenue so you can start making some taxed earnings off of it, and everybody can understand, wow, we just created value. We just created actual tangible value. And we're creating a company that now has a valuation with earnings. So that's part of the timeless principles. If you're going to be in business, you got to make money.
Right.
No more unicorns. They kill markets.
Make more magic moments.
Magic moments,
Bring
absolutely.
things together. So let's talk a little bit more about the opportunities and focus points that you're presently working on.
Yes, very humble. There's quite a few. So one of our biggest accomplishments and one of my biggest holdings is a company called Turncoin, and the operating company is known as Virtual Stacks, and we've created a mechanism for people to buy virtual shares of people. So there's two different channels of that. There are very well-established, popular celebrities, musicians, actors, entertainers, and athletes that have big audiences. Those people have great liquidity events because they can sell virtual shares of themselves to their fans or their supporters and make an astronomical amount of money for their popularity and their performance. Then the other bucket are people that are amateurs or novices that don't yet have the giant success, but they want to be the next Derek Jeter, they want to be the next Billy Joel, they want to be the next Taylor Swift. Keep naming names you may be fans of. So think of this as a GoFundMe structure in a legal, regulatory manner where people can sell virtual shares themselves, so they continue to go after and finance their dreams and passions. Where if they want to be the next Derek Jeter, they can sell virtual shares to their family, their friends, their teammates, their coaches, bring in some capital, go and buy a new mitt, go take some batting lessons, and continue to go after their dreams. So with that, we created a company now that's sitting just under a $15 billion valuation. We have the full support and investment from people like Drew Brees, Patrick Mahomes, Randy Jackson, Von Miller, Cam Jordan, Wendell Carter. We just announced and signed Luke Bryan coming on as our music ambassador. Phenomenal support, phenomenal investors, incredible company and team. The CEO, Rudolph Markroff, is a visionary. He's one of my favorite people to work with, and we've only just begun, which is pretty phenomenal. In addition to that, we have a company in my holdings called Nodle, N-O-D-L-E, or our Nodle Cash app. CEO Misha Benoliel and co-founder Garrett Kinsman and I connected many years ago, where they went after building a wireless network connecting IoT devices. I was also building wireless networks that connect people in real time, regardless of any cellular or Wi-Fi connection. We teamed up. I became part of the executive team, and we built the largest wireless network in the world, connecting billions of devices. And with our protocols, if you download a Nodle Cash app, you connect wirelessly and passively to nearby IoT devices. So think of your toaster, a bird scooter in the street, microwave, headphones, anything with a Bluetooth chip that's broadcasting data. Our network picks it up, and if you have our technology on your phone, whether through the Nodle Cash app or our SDK app partners, You'll earn nodal cash by allowing us to use your phone as a gateway to pull that little bit of data, shoot it up to the cloud, and for that you earn our cryptocurrency. We're completely privacy focused. We don't collect any user data on the user profile. We don't impact the app's experience by flashing ads. We believe there's more money and more value with the devices around a user than actually the user themselves. So that company's done amazing. It just listed on multiple exchanges yesterday, so it was a pretty big day for the company. And again, we've also only just begun there. That company is very well capitalized, continues to grow and do great partnerships and work with enterprise companies and apps around the world. That's a phenomenal situation. And another one that's really on fire is we built Chain Tech Labs. I'm one of the founding partners. We're the first of its kind to be incorporated and licensed in the DIFC in Dubai. Complete blockchain NFT business where we launched our first NFT project known as BAPES, B-A-P-E-S, or BAPES Clan. We became the fastest, largest growing organic NFT project in the world. We've since then acquired and started additional NFT projects in our holdings known as Apians, Cubex. We launched a BAPES Future and Bloodlines, and a bunch more are going to be announced. We have north of 2 million people in our NFT communities combined. And at one point during the last few months, we reached over $500 million valuation on all of our NFT and crypto projects in Chain Tech Labs. And we sold out 10,000 piece collections, even in a kind of a volatile downward crypto market and in a weak NFT market. We sold out our collections. So we have a strong community, one of the best in the world. And just amazing. The NFT component of a company right now, everybody should be looking at this as another funding mechanism to fund their project or fund IP and build community. The reason why I got heavily involved in it was for that reason. It's another mechanism to bring in capital for a company outside of traditional friends and family, series investments, VC, or private equity. Here's another way that the market is screaming at people to create an NFT, create a story and a roadmap, connect it with your business where it has real value and real utility, and bring in the capital that you need to stay in business, survive, and grow. And that was my mindset with it, why I thought that this was going to be very important for startups and even up to very large companies. You need to participate in this, and you have to do it in a way where the community understands what you're doing. You're not taking advantage of people. And we've seen a lot of NFT projects, even though they have great celebrity endorsements and really beautiful pictures and great marketing, fail because it's not connecting with the community. There's no real utility. There's no real value. So the things that we do have great business structure behind it and great strategies and long-term visions on. I want our NFTs to be the Berkshire Hathaway Class A stock that you never sell. You pass it down from your kids to your grandkids to your great-grandkids, and it's something the household can benefit from, be excited about, and earn from for forever.
It's a powerful vision.
Powerful vision. We're only here for a moment, so do what you can to make your mark.
Certainly. Now, you mentioned community a few times there. How important is community building? How does one actually, let's say you get 1,000 people in a room or 100 people in a room. How do you grow up from there and actually build a community that matters to people?
Yeah. Again, I'm 20 years in doing this, so I've been able to connect and combine and build a reach that has an impact. You got to be consistent with it. You can't be frustrated when it's growing too slow. You have to work it like anything else. I'm a big believer in that multiplier is powerful if you just get one person at a time, because one person turns to two, two turns to four, four turns to eight, eight turns to 16. So you start to see how word of mouth and providing exceptional, great, I don't want to call it content, but just really good information that people can relate to, want to be part of, learn from. But what you'll see, and what I was so excited to see with our BAPES community or our Chain Tech Labs community, is that it's not just the value of Chain Tech that's seeing value. It's the people in the community coming together. I see people in these Discord rooms or on Twitter Spaces. They're working their asses off like 15, 20 hours a day for our community, but they're also creating value within that community. So it's this interesting environment where people are coming together because of us, and they're creating businesses or they're creating ideas, and then they're launching something, and they never would have come together if it wasn't, I shouldn't say never, we were a conduit of them coming together at that moment. Maybe fate would have brought them together in a different moment, a different time, but I can see firsthand that the world that we've built, the inclusion that we built for everybody to be part of this, and how that's nurturing and flourishing just organically with people loving being part of our community and then loving the value and the relationships that they're building within the community, because it's not just people promoting us, they're now promoting other great ideas that they came up with or other projects that they now are part of because they were part of ours, and it's great to see. So hopefully that'll just keep going on the path that it's going on.
Is that the path you would recommend for someone who's an artist, let's say in the Web2 space, to get into Web3, get into NFTs? What would that path be like for an independent creator, a group that many people are trying to empower when it comes to Web3 now?
It's the best mechanism I've ever seen for that. I have a lot of Web3 experience. One of our holdings, MetaLife, coined Web3 in 2003, I believe.
Jeez.
MetaLife
Way
is
back.
way back. Henry Wang, the CEO, is dear friend, amazing guy. He's the CEO of Smart Mesh, and then MetaLife, a social platform that we're launching that connects people all over the world in a social environment that's fully decentralized. It's serverless. It is, I think, one of the only true Web3 companies out there as far as not having any data being stored anywhere else besides on the user's device. So that unlocks real freedom and privacy. The point of that being is that because of companies like that, and I'm part of Somnium Space, which I think is one of the great VR Web3 metaverse, and then Meta Sports Arena, another incredible company that I'm part of. And during the time of building these and being part of these, trying to get the biggest artists in the world, didn't understand this. And I was going after some artists that I know and I thought we can monetize the hell out of their brand 5 years ago, bringing them into this. And they didn't understand it. They didn't get it. They just wanted to stick to the traditional route. Now that you see them getting involved, the point of my story is I am so glad that it was the independent, unknown artists and designers that made massive fortunes by being first to go into Web3 and understanding here's a new channel to build community, create value for their talent. And because of that, it unlocked it for all the independents to realize here's another way to be creative, go after your passions, go after your dreams, look at things like virtual stacks for artists where you can have people buy virtual shares of yourself to help you go get art supplies. You start to look at this loop of there's a medium to showcase your artwork in this great metaverse VR environment. There's a great medium to create digital NFTs and be part of projects. So it takes work too. Your IP and your brand and your designs, that's your soul as far as a content creator. That's connected to you. So you want to make sure that you're really sourcing maybe NFT projects that connect with your visions. You want to be very careful as to where is an NFT project going? Is it going to be a failure? Is it going to be what they call a rug pull? You don't want to attach great artwork, a real amazing artist or independent artist with a project that is not a real project. So you want to be very careful as an artist as to where you go with this, who you work with. Artists also aren't the most technically savvy people, so they can design the best thing in the world. They need someone to help them with smart contracts. They need someone to help them design and put together the financial mechanism of the website and connecting wallets. So it can get very intimidating. But thankfully, there's companies, there's NFT projects like Juice Spaces that I'm part of, another creative mechanism for people to help launch their content and get it to an audience and be part of a real ecosystem that truly values content creators and truly wants to help them grow, build an audience and a customer base. And then one day, hopefully, they have a wing in a museum exhibit, because my life and my world, even though the metaverse and Web3 is the buzzwords of the day and everybody's pouring money into it, you still have to go and buy a bottle of water somewhere in real life. You still want to be able to go somewhere and order a cheeseburger, and you still got to buy a t-shirt to put on. So somehow all of this has to relate back to real life and real life commerce, real life experience. And in my strategy, the VR metaverse side is still way in its infancy, but just a mechanism to help enhance IP products and solutions that you can also enjoy in real life.
It's been an impactful Titans of today, Brian. I do appreciate having you on here. What is a number one takeaway you'd like to leave us all with?
Probably what I mentioned before. I love saying that everybody can be an overnight success if they wake up the next day a little smarter, stronger, and wiser than the day before, is my quote too. So I tend to say it, and it's true. Don't worry about what you have or don't have in the bank. Just be consistent, stay diligent, and do the next day better than you did the day before, and you'll get there. and stop comparing yourself to people. It's the kiss of death. If I woke up this morning and looked at what Elon Musk and Bezos and Bill Gates have, I would probably feel very discouraged about my accomplishments. You got to stop doing that. You got to feel good about yourself, great about your decisions, and find self-worth and self-value and where you spend your time during the day. And like I said before as well, surround yourself with the right people, good, positive people that want to see you succeed. And the ones that don't, you got to fire them for your life or put them in a timeout for a little bit.
Awesome advice. Everybody reach out to Brian via his LinkedIn. Brian, is that the best way to get a hold of you is on LinkedIn?
Yeah, so Brian J. Esposito on LinkedIn, also the same name on Twitter. I get back to everybody, and the corporate website is eie.rocks, so eie.rocks. And it's a pleasure speaking with you today, Jacob. Thank you.
Likewise, everybody, thank you for watching. We'll see you on the next interview.
Hey everyone, thank you for watching this episode of Titans Up today. What did you learn from it? Make sure to drop a comment below with your most valuable insight so that other people can engage in the conversation around what this speaker brought to the table. And then on another front, make sure to subscribe so that every time we drop a new episode, you will be notified. And that way you can keep fueling your dreams and your brain with fresh insights, which can help you along your journey and along your path to your goals. So thank you so much again, and I look forward to seeing you in the next interview.